Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
Blaschke, Blackistone, Jones, Ryan. Quick, you're the player inbounding the ball here. What are you doing it with that coach right there?
Right between
Did the right thing.
I thought that would be the Bomani response. Also, who's saying the LeBron play is better than the Harden play?
Oh, I am much.
I knew that would be the Blaschke response. Let's go around the horn.
Not even close. Disrespectful.
Not so disrespectful.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reali.
Sixers 108, Cavs 97. We've got recruitment. We've got a nutmeg. Woo! Ooh, we had a spike. And also we have a discussion about soup we'll get to in a second. Cleveland 2-3 since the break. Bill, honeymoon over scenario with the changes they made 2.5 weeks ago?
Well, understand first, the honeymoon was created by the media, and now that yes, it's over, the media is now going to declare it dead. LeBron always said it's a work in progress. This is really work in progress. None of these four guys is Kyrie Irving. None of these four guys is going to get them, I don't think, even out of the East. They're still struggling defensively. They're still struggling to move the ball. They say they need practice time. All the practice time in the world, again, is not going to make them the kind of players that can bring LeBron back to the championship series, the finals. I think this was a shot in the dark, and it's not going to work.
Okay. Do you honestly think you're going to get points for saying this was a media creation and that the whole conversation
was? It was.
Go ahead, Kevin Blackistone.
But Bill's partly right there because it is our overreaction. I will take the knocks. It was our overreaction to what we saw in a very small time frame of 2 games. And what really happened there was they got an injection of youth, right, which was really an adrenaline rush. And guess what? The adrenaline rush is worn off now. So now they're back to trying to become the team that they think they can become and make a push back to the finals. And that's still going to take some time. You still got some injuries you're working on. And you're now playing teams that are really playing well in their own right in a team like the 76ers. And so you run into problems and you get exposed. And that's what they are right now.
Bomani Jones.
Well, I mean, the honeymoon is over, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to get divorced. The reality is they've won 4 games since they made the lineup shakeup. They have lost 3. In the 3 games that they have lost, they have shot 25% from three-point range. They've gotten 33 points a game from the new guys since they did all this. In the games that they've won, those in the losses, in the games that they've won, they've gotten over 40, like a higher number from there. That seems to be the biggest issue right now. They're not making shots. If they make shots, then yeah, it's a team that's going to be able to win, but I do agree with this notion of caution. What was so crazy about everything at the trade deadline was we got so excited about a set of deals where the best player the Cavs got back was George Hill. Now we do have to deal with the reality that they did all that and the best player they got back was George Hill.
That was an interesting way. You admitted that you had this one wrong 2.5 weeks ago, or at least overreacted. Bob Ryan, you're never guilty of overreacting, so please, the floor is yours.
Never, jamais. Now listen, I saw the very first game. It was in Boston, and the kids were exuberant. They were running up and down. They were like they're let out of jail. They were having fun. They caught a Celtic team that was going badly, that what didn't shoot well itself, and was still missing people. So it was a little circumstantial stuff there. I think the reality is that this is the reality. That that was synthetic. The first 2 victories were synthetic. Now, here's the real thing. We are going to find out, first of all, we know how good LeBron is. That's no doubt. We're going to find out how good Ty Lue is. And I don't know that he has enough time or enough practices to implement his will or his style. Okay. But it's a better. So there are better coaches. There are better coaches out there, and he's going to have to prove up.
Blaschke, you want to add to that?
Yeah, can I dare say that the Lakers and Isaiah Thomas will have a bigger impact out here than the 4 guys will have in Cleveland? The Lakers are better. In fact, this goes to what I've thought all along.
Say it.
Cleveland should have been more patient. They should have been more patient with IT.
Is that it? Were you guys playing golf today? And real quick, J.A. Adonde on this show once said, in order to win tournaments, you have to win tournaments. I think the reality is the reality is now the new phrase for us, Bob Ryan. Thank you. I'm going to put that in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
This is
what it is. It's the reality. I know.
I'm following an official protest. I want you to rest of the show is under protest.
And the protest will be the protest.
And you are.
Let's talk about this. You have a problem with Clarkson throwing the ball at Sarge because some Cavs players said they anonymously liked that. He showed some pride here. Kevin, you want to answer that?
Look, if they're saying that anonymously, why don't they just say that on the record? Yeah. No, you don't do this kind of thing. I mean, you play defense till the game is over. It's not like the guy was trying to show you up. He didn't do a reverse slam or anything like that. Let's play on.
Bomani?
I mean, it's weak. This is the baseball. It's like the baseball stuff, right? You should play the game right, whatever. I had no idea until very recently that NBA players took it so personally when you got one of those garbage time baskets. But apparently that is a league-wide rule, and Jordan Clarkson is doing what a lot of dudes in the league would do under that circumstance, weak though it may be.
Bob Bryan?
I think you don't do that. You don't do that. Sarge was wrong, but you know what? You don't do that, and you figure out some way to get him back later. You don't throw the ball at him. No, that was stupid. They both were wrong.
Yeah, it was false bravado. He's trying to impress his teammates, trying to get some cred with his teammates. That's not the way to do it.
Well, he got the cred. It just got it anonymously. So the cred count is the question. The LeBron play. Let's roll that one up here. This was just incredible. It made you wonder if he knew he was doing it. But then you realize, he didn't know he was doing it. At least that's what he said. Is it better than the Harden play, Bomani?
I mean, it's a better play on LeBron's end than the Harden play. The Harden play was so good because Wesley Johnson wound up laying on the ground and stayed there, and Harden had all the time to get the shot and everything else. But to simply throw the ball through somebody's legs in real time the way that he did and then hit the layup the way he did, it's a better play. It just doesn't have that stench of disrespect that Harden had.
There is no comparison. LeBron's play is transcendent. I have never seen anything like it, and you guys haven't either, and you know it, and you never will again. But people have broken guys' ankles with crossovers and then step back and shot, maybe not that long, a pay up breath. They're not even in the same conversation. Stop
All right, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear from Bob Bryan. How about you, Plashke?
Well, you know how I feel about the Harden play. So, yes, this was definitely better. But also, you have to imagine the reason it's better is this is a giant of a man doing this. We keep forgetting how big LeBron is, how incredibly athletic he is. It is amazing. It was an amazing play.
Blackstone.
Absolutely. And he had absolutely no space, really, to make that happen. Forget that it went through the other legs, but just to go around the back in that tight a window was remarkable.
And now we turn our attention to the J.R. Smith suspension from last night's game, which we're finding out was over soup. He threw it as an assistant coach, Damon Jones. What are you doing with that information, Bob? And what information do you wish you had in addition to that?
Well, the first thing I thought of when I heard about it was, no soup for you. That's one way of getting your point across. But obviously, the missing ingredient for us, what was it? Come on. I want to know what kind of soup.
Plashke?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. What kind of soup was it? I'm hoping it was chicken noodle. You can do chicken noodle. I think chicken noodle would be perfectly fine. If it was clam chowder with little biscuits in it, not too good. Chicken noodles, what they need.
We just talked about a team that is having discord right now, and we're trying to figure out if they're real or not real. And here we have an incident between a player and a coach and a player who's now been suspended. This is part of the problem with the Cavaliers. Doesn't matter what kind of soup it is.
About this. It was soup.
I got to know what he said, right? That's not to say that J.R. Smith was justified in throwing the soup, but for somebody to get you to a point of throwing the soup, what was it? Because the Cavs seem to be taking this in stride, right? Almost like they're laughing at it at this moment, like maybe a joke gone awry. I have no idea, but I got to know what he said.
I think the best thing I read about this was, he only had a 39.5% chance of hitting him. So I think it was Royce Young. That was pretty good. We'll move on. Let's talk Louisville, Virginia last night. How Louisville lost a 4-point lead with 0.9 seconds left. I mean, inconceivable, you would say. Foul on the three, walked the baseline turnover, and then the bank was open for the game winner. Look at the Prabhu wobble right there. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Bob, you covered how many years of basketball you want to say?
66.
66?
I was watching basketball for 66 years.
How is that even possible?
Let me tell you, this is not only the most improbable, the worst loss in the history of basketball, or the worst loss in the history of America. It is the worst loss in the history of recorded sport going back to the Olympics in 770 BC. Nothing is close to this. This is the most colossal loss ever, ever, ever.
How did this show start with Bob saying he doesn't overreact? Flashkey.
Bob, it's not even the worst loss in sports this year. Ask the New Orleans Saints about what the worst loss in sports this year was. I just think, don't be so hard on the Louisville kids. It was they made some dumb collegiate mistakes. The foul was terrible. The kid walked on the baseline. But how many players would walk on the baseline and not know that rule anyway? It was a great bank by Virginia. To give Virginia credit, I'm giving Virginia credit for stealing the game. Shot. I'm not going to blame Louisville for blowing it. Virginia stole it from them.
You know what, Bob? I want you to go after every panelist when they're done answering their question. Now Blackstone's going to have to impress Bob.
Bob, you are a historian, and so you remember North Carolina being down by 8 points with 17 seconds to Duke tying the game and then winning it in overtime. And most impressively, that was 1974. There were no three-point shots then. So to me, that's still stuck in my mind as the worst meltdown or greatest comeback in college basketball.
And Bomani Jones.
Right, but we're talking about a 4-point lead with 0.9 seconds left. That sounds mathematically impossible in a game that requires you to take 0.4 of a second just to get a shot up. Like, this is really, really bad. And I feel bad for those Louisville seniors because they've been through a lot in the course of these 4 years. They were about to get a win over number one at home right at the end there. But that was awful, awful, awful. By the way, Ty Jerome has a brother named Kobe. Bet you didn't know that.
No.
No, I didn't. I'm not sure that's going to get you a point right here.
Yeah, but, Bob, I just think, again, it's Virginia, the number one team in the country. It isn't like some, bad team.